What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining us for another episode of Double Tech. We're here talking the NFC Championship game. It's your boy Dave, and here with my host Q. What's up, man?
What's up, man? We got this big, right? This is the big show. We get the third rematch of the San Francisco 49ers and versus Matt Stafford and the Los Angeles Rams. It's gonna be big. I mean, for both teams, this is so much on the line. Like, you got obviously Stafford, right? We the world is rooting for Matt Stafford right now. The world is rooting for Matt Stafford.
He's there.
We've seen so many things. Obviously, some people they don't feel the same about his game, but a lot of us have always loved his game and the way he's played. It's just the help wasn't there. He's got some help now, and those boys, and they got hot again, just like the Chiefs. They got hot at the right time. And obviously, you add Odell Beckham Jr. and use him the correct way. That'll happen, right? And then you got the San Francisco 49ers on the other side of the ball, who, man, with Jimmy G behind the helm, we didn't think they could get here again. But they have that boy Kobe Deebo Samuel, and
the real MVP.
So it's going to be hot, and they're a hot team right now, the San Francisco 49ers. It's weird too, because it feels like they're missing so much, right? We feel like they don't have a lot when you're like just looking at them because of the way they play. They have a lot of talent on that roster. They're a deep team. Absolutely. Just as well as the Rams are a deep team. The Rams just have the quarterback play that the 49ers are lacking. But the 49ers, which is the weirdest thing to say, have the defensive presence that the Los Angeles Rams have been lacking with Donald and Ramsey. And that's going to be a huge part for them. They're going to have to, they're going to have to make that defense got to sit on their neck for a while.
Yeah, and it's going to come down to, like, how do you use Ramsey in this game? What is his most efficient? Because when you're playing a quarterback like Jimmy G, we paid all of this money and all these draft picks and investment so that Ramsey can shut down number one receivers with number one quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. With Jimmy G in there, and that's not really part of our strategy. How is Ramsey going to be effective in this game? Like, what do you think schematically the Rams can do to make him pop?
Well, we know the defensive coordinator doesn't. We know the defensive coordinator does not like to make many adjustments to the secondary. He's very big on this is your side. You guard the number one guy over here. And if they switch him, somebody else steps up, which has been kind of detrimental to their season in some ways, right? When they play teams that have a good air game, they have trouble. But I think in this point, if you are going to make an adjustment, he's got to be around Kittle somewhere on the field. But then again, you see Ayuk coming down, breaking out people's ankles and stuff too. And with an unstable quarterback like Jimmy G, it's really hard to take this guy and say, I'm gonna put you on their best receiver, whatever it may be, because Jimmy G's he's just throwing, like, there's no prediction of who's getting the ball when Jimmy G's throwing the ball. The strategy,
and there's no ego in those weapons, right? It's kind of like, we don't really care how many touches we get. Are we winning? Kittle's one of those guys that is just as comfortable, like, man, I had a nice block as I did grab, and that's kind of hard to defend against, and Deebo's the same way.
Yes, and that's where it's going to be an issue. So I mean, I think the leading interception guy has one interception on, and that's Scott for the Los Angeles Rams. And that shows you that why they're having issues. You can't play a quarterback like Jimmy G, and I don't want to just shit on the man all day, but you can't play a quarterback like that and not get turnovers. Right, that's your best bet right now, because San Francisco's going to run the ball down your throat. They're going to take their time with it, and they're not going to try to give Stafford a lot of time to be who he is. So Stafford is going to need you to get some takeaways. It's going to need you to get some big stops, some forced fumbles, some interceptions. You're going to have to do something different and get out of that zone.
And I think stealing the ball, ripping it, cracking somebody's head, that's really what it's going to take, more so than interceptions, because we've seen Jimmy G make smart decisions. Yes. And even doesn't make a smart decision, he makes a live for another down decision. Very Alex Smith like in nature, which we've seen for San Francisco, right? With the way that San Francisco is constructed, you mentioned earlier that we look at their team as if they don't have a ton of stars, right? In comparison to the but stars are just kind of in different areas, right? And so they're designed with both Alex Mack and Trent Williams to match up with Aaron Donald and Von Miller. But Aaron Donald and Von Miller, you're paid to win this today. It doesn't matter what Trent Williams is or who he is, or people saying
he's also questionable right now too. So.
Right. So Von Miller has to take full advantage of that matchup as well as the right tackle, because getting to Jimmy G and forcing fumbles is how you're going to create turnovers. Yes. I think it's unlikely that Jimmy G just chalks one up, just throws a bomb to Ramsey, it's on for free. That's not happening. So you have to go out there and get it.
And you have to get it the same way they got it against Tampa. They have to be in the trenches. One thing San Francisco's been able to do better than everybody else they played is they play like dogs for 4 quarters. Yeah. No matter what the score is, they're playing 4 quarters and they're getting at you. Guy goes down, doesn't matter. Next man up. Deebo Samuel has a little injury, maybe an ache or something of that nature, but goes to the sideline, comes back in to make a big play. Like, those guys are dogs, and that's how they're going to get it. It's going to be tough. And when you have 3 matchups, it's the coaching comes to play, right? Like, something's got to change. And like I said, whether it be on the defensive coordinator of the Rams have to figure out how to get this going.
I think what's really interesting about both of these teams that have been compiled, right, is that they both are 2 rosters that had better defenses last year in terms of schematically, right?
Yes.
Because both of their defensive coordinators were hired to be head coaches, right? We had the 49ers became the head coach of the Jets, and then we had Brandon Staley of the Rams as the head coach of the Chargers now. So both are dealing with not first-time defensive coordinators, but first year with these guys.
Yes.
And San Francisco has been willing to adjust far more, although they don't really have to, because this is not a blitz team. This is not a bring a team. It's let my 4 get up and go, and we're going to drop anyway, right? So that kind of worries me when it comes to Tampa or to the Rams. I'm sorry, because when playing San Francisco, when they played the first 2 games, they failed to rush for 100 yards in both games. Stafford didn't reach 300. He didn't reach 250 in either game. So I think more of the key is less about how do we stop what San Francisco is doing, because San Francisco is a game of attrition. Yeah. They get better as they start to kick your ass 3rd, 4th quarter.
Yes.
Right. But
they start extremely slow. Like the game for the first half of a San Francisco game might be arguably some of the most boring football to go on TV.
But it's all set up for the setup.
Yes, it is.
Done. So we're in a situation now where if Jimmy G and Deebo and Kittle can figure it out and get me 10 points in the 4th quarter, then I need to extend. And so how are they going to take advantage? Well, in these previous 2 matchups, they didn't have Cam Akers, which I think is a huge coming back from that Achilles. Last week, he didn't get 100 yards. He got 50 and 2 fumbles, right? He's going to be back for a redemption game. And I think he's the key to big. He must be. If not, they're not going to win with Stafford dropping back to pass 40 times and beat the 49ers.
Because we're back in that problem again where the 49ers have this thing. Like, if they go up, it's hard to come back. Their game's so slow. The drives are so long. They're looking to make about 3.5 yards a pass, a run. Like, they're not in a rush at all. So if they go up by 10 or 2 possessions in any way, you end up, like you said, in a situation where you feel like you have to pass so much and you go away from the run. And now you're 3 and out or whatever it may be. And they've got the ball back. They're going to play it slow. And normally we know they're playing slow game ends in a lot of field goals for San Fran. But the thing that kills team is when it doesn't end in a field goal. Then they spend 8 minutes getting up the field and then will their way to some, panic touchdown. And next thing you know, you're like, well, shoot, I got 2 minutes. I'm trying to figure this out. Like, what's going on?
Right. And then that's when Bosa gets to pin his ears back. That's when you get Kinlaw, Armstead. Like, you're not trying to deal with that pass rush when they don't have to play run at all.
Yeah.
Especially when you're talking about an O-line like the Rams. That is really, we use this phrase kind of a lot. It's ragtag group, man. It's just some guys out there. They're not really the highly talented. Like, they don't have
Pro Bowlers. Yeah.
Andrew Whitworth didn't even play last game. It was Noteboom starting at left tackle. So they're one guy that you can rely on. He's 40 years old.
Yep.
Stafford cannot will this team to victory over the 49ers. The Rams have to win this game. Stafford was to beat Brady my damn self.
Yeah.
And he did it. You try to do everything to throw the game away for the Rams against Tampa. In this game, it's not going to matter. It has to be the entire unit. And they
can't turn the ball over against San Francisco.
Can't turn the ball over.
That's your, every time you don't score, you're giving up about 5 to 6 minutes minimum of the game.
And And then that's going to result in they have to be balanced and they have to start fast. The
Yes.
first quarter is going to be huge for the, like you said, if San Francisco starting out so slow and kind of creep in their way, the Rams have to strike quick, fast, in a hurry. And for that, I think that it's going to be, we've seen 100 yards plus from Cooper Kupp both times that the team has decided we're not going to double team him unless you kill us with Odell. We're going to take Cooper Kupp. So how do you get Odell involved despite that? And that's where Stafford's main issue is going to lie, I think.
I think that it's simple, though, with those guys, with Cooper Kupp. It's like the people talk about Kirk Cousins and stuff. Just got to throw it. That's how you get them involved. That's been an issue for a lot of quarterbacks is you just got to throw it.
Yeah.
You went and got these guys, let them earn a paycheck.
So you're saying Stafford should go back to Megatron days, sling that thing.
Yeah, don't force it, but throw it. Like, you get guys that get open and they kind of look and they hesitate because it's a big game. Like, Odell Beckham is one of the best route runners we've seen. He's going to get open. Cooper Kupp, same. He's going to get open. You got to trust those guys to make plays. We know that the San Francisco 49ers are going to match up with them, and they're not going to make it easy. They're going to try to be on their nose, and you're going to have to make the right pass and the hard pass together. The hard pass may be a guy breathing down the neck of Cooper Kupp, but you're going to have to sling that thing into the gut. You know, like, you're going to have to do that.
Yeah, I think it's more about efficiency throws than volume here from Stafford. It's going to be the key 3rd and 6. Holy shit, he was not open, but he somehow made it to him. You know, that's going to have to be their saving grace, because the last game that we watched, which kind of propelled the run for San Francisco, was the end of the season, them beating the Rams in LA. And now we got the rematch. That was a home game for San Francisco, or at least a what do you call it? Like, mutual site,
mutual site.
And where
but it looked like a 49ers home game.
Yes, 50-50 at minimum, but mostly San Francisco home game. So you're not going to have the advantage of the crowd with you in LA. I don't think the Rams can expect that.
Well, that's going to be a change. Did you see what they did with this little rule, man? They said that when you buy the ticket, they said they're checking your area code. So that if you're outside of a certain area code, like once they reach a certain number, you're not going to be able to get the ticket. They're going to refund you your money back. Like, I want my money back. I want my damn ticket. I bought a ticket to the game. So that way the 49ers can't have an overwhelming crowd as they did the first game, because the crowd was so loud for the away team that it was crazy. But how do you, that's a weird advantage to take.
How long have the Rams really been there? Do you associate LA with the Rams? I mean, maybe if you're 70s era, right. But really, a lot of those guys, a lot of those people that live there, that are in that area code, they're lifelong San Fran fans anyway.
You just made it easier for San Francisco fans to see their team. Like, that's all you did. Like, your stadium is a convenience for the 49ers, an historic franchise. Like,
yeah, that makes it tough. I think that they have a lot to prove here. I mean, you've got your own fans going against you. You've lost 2, looking at 3, losing 3 times to the same team. That's rough for morale, and they really have a number. And it's a toughness football game. It's not like last week where it's going to be won with skill. This is a heart only.
So who you got?
It's going to be who wants it.
So who you got?
I believe
going Rams.
Hey,
Rams by how much?
Because of Von Miller. I think that Von Miller and getting to Jimmy G is going huge, because I don't trust the health of Trent Williams entirely. Although when he is healthy, he's a huge get, in the run scheme, he's going to wash out Vaughn entirely. But if we're able to get them, the Rams are able to get them in 2nd and long, 3rd and long, and Vaughn can then pass rush, Aaron Donald can pass rush without having to play any other responsibilities, it's going to be a hard time for Jimmy. I love what you said about Ramsey taking Kittle, because I think that's what they're going to do. And then you just have to team defend Deebo and accept it. If Deebo gets 200 yards on us by himself, hey, we can still win this game regardless of that. It's when you allow the options to defeat you.
So Rams by what?
So I'm going with the Rams by 3.
You're not going to like it. I'm going the exact opposite. San Francisco by 3. Only reason is it's a hard choice. I love the Rams and that they're up right now, but I just don't trust the defense of the Los Angeles Rams. Even in the last game, they were up by so much and still almost gave the game away. If you're ever in that situation right now, the San Francisco 49ers are not the team I want to be there with right now. They've done it 4 games in a row.
Yeah.
They found a way to close out tough games that honestly they might have should have lost, but look where we are, right? Woulda, coulda, shoulda. So I just don't trust the coordinator to make the adjustments necessary to go out there and beat Kyle Shanahan in a AFC NFC championship. If this was the Super Bowl, I'd bet on Kyle Shanahan to blow it every time, never fails. But
right
to get now,
there.
So I'm gonna go San Francisco by 3, but I'll still say a prayer for Matt Stafford.
Man, Stafford, Mahomes. And I think one interesting thing we got to bring up about Stafford and both Mahomes before we even see who wins the games is that these are 2 guys that are elite quarterbacks in the league, but they do not know how to play with a lead.
No.
They do not know how to milk it. Don't know how to play with a lead in a playoff.
It's always balls to wall.
Yeah, when we saw Mahomes win the Super Bowl, what was it? 3 straight comebacks, victories, because I feel more comfortable with the pressure on. Stafford, the same way. The most comebacks in his career since he's entered the league in 2009. All right. Ridiculous. So both of these teams, they want to be down almost. And that's not a great,
not healthy.
In when you're trying to make it to the Super Bowl and you have a team that has experience. The Rams really don't. Okay. Outside of Donald, who has been there?
Von Miller and Donald are the only 2.
Right. Von Miller and Donald. And that's why I think they show up, no doubt about it. But I'm like very scared about the weaknesses of the Rams defense and their lack of depth, right? You need a big game from guys that they're signing off the street. Like Eric Weddle has to go up at 37, right? It puts you in a tough situation where if you want to put the stars making plays, it's going to be, all right, we're not listening to Raheem Morris. We have to do what we need to do to stop Jimmy.
Yeah.
Honestly.
That's your best option to get a turnover is to put him on his ass.
And if that means Ramsey Rome, if that means bringing 5, then it's what you have to do. Because this run game is going to dominate again. It has been every time that they've played. And it's a lot of things that we see with the undersized D tackles. It's something that actually happened to Sue when he was on the Lions, is that when they're shooting the gap, we'll let you have the gap because we're running the counter over here anyway. You're just taking the play now. We're going to avoid you as much as possible. So can those other guys step up, the Ashawn Robinsons, the Gaines? And I get your point where you're saying, no, they don't have the depth that where you can look at San Francisco and it's a field of other first-round picks that they have dealing with on the D-line. So it's interesting. I think Akers is the difference. Not having and then having him now, I think he'll show out.
Okay. Well, all right. That's another one from Double Tech. You guys let us know. We'll see who's right. You know, if we had more time, I'd set up a bet. Y'all take care.
Yeah, we'll catch that. I would have got you on Brady last week, too. Don't forget.
We ain't talking about it.